May 3302, the station executed a long-distance jump to Beagle Point, but when it failed to reach its destination, it was feared lost. In June 3302, an independent pilot discovered Jacques Station in the EL-PRU RST D394 system, suffering from technical issues and effectively stranded. The galactic community reacted swiftly, launching an independent supply drive to restore the starport to functionality. The relief effort soon exceeded its original objective, and many of those involved began to see the distant system as a chance to establish a new community, far from the wearisome conflicts and entrenched viewpoints of the core systems. Talk of a permanent colony went from light-hearted speculation to serious planning. In September 3302, EL-PRU RST D394 was formally named Colonia, and the first permanent settlement was constructed on the surface of...
Scan detected. Frameshift charge detected.
Colonia 2A.
4, 3, 2, 1, engage.
An influx of migrants boosted the system's population, aided financially by the Colonia Council, the region's new governing body, and materially by independent pilots. Colonia is widely viewed as a monument to community spirit and human ingenuity, as well being the first step into a previously uninhabited region of space. Colonia's population is still small, but the region is undergoing continuous expansion and attracting attention from both enterprising corporations and optimistic migrants. To date, Colonia has remained untroubled by the strife that often plagues the core systems, earning it a reputation as a sanctuary. But it remains to be seen if this nascent community will thrive in isolation or be engulfed by political and corporate forces. The Empire. Introduction. What a piece of work is man, how noble in reason, how infinite in faculty, in form and moving, how express and admirable. In action, how like an angel, in apprehension, how like a god, the beauty of the world, the paragon of animals. Shakespeare, Hamlet.
When our ancestors departed Earth, they asked themselves, which of our achievements represents the best of humanity, that we may bring it with us to illumine the darkness? The Federation, embroiled in a world of contracts and petty bickering, chose their constitution. They placed their trust not in man himself, but in an imperfect work of man. But my ancestor, your first emperor, was wiser. He knew that the best achievement of humanity was humanity itself. There was more wisdom in a single nucleotide of his noble DNA than in all the Federation's written text.
Shields online. Frameshift drive charging. Ready to engage. 4, 3, 2, 1, engage. Fuel scooping. comply. Frameshift drive charging. Four, three, two, one, engage. Warning, temperature critical. Fuel scooping. Fuel scooping complete. Frameshift drive charging. Four, three, two, one, engage. Fuel scooping. Fuel scooping complete.
That same wisdom still guides us now. We need no dusty documents to assert our right. We are human, born to rule. And the universe awaits the firm hand of our governance.
Emperor Trascan Duval II. Undelivered draft speech written immediately before his sudden and unexplained death. The Empire, while younger than the Federation, is easily the equal of its historic rival in terms of scale and resources. The key social distinction between the two powers is that slavery in the Empire is legal, a fact that has remained a source of controversy since its inception, both within the Empire and without. Some observers have pointed out, however,
Cannot comply.
conditions for those at the lowest levels of federal society
Frameshift drive charging.
are far worse than those experienced by
4, 3, 2, 1. Engage.
imperial slaves. The popular image of the Empire is one of opulence, but while pomp and pageantry may be the norm in the core imperial systems, elsewhere in imperial space, one can find myriad examples of deprivation and squalor. Indeed, the Empire encompasses many striking contrasts. Sophisticated technology exists alongside an ancient Roman system of government, and the affluence of the core worlds depends on often unregulated slave labor in the wretched outer
Frameshift drive charging.
colonies. Ruthless industrial efficiency and low taxation has made the Empire rich and mighty. The hierarchy of imperial society is rigid, but a citizen can always rise through the ranks
4, 3, 2, 1.
if he or she becomes wealthy enough and makes the right connections. Even a slave could, in theory, become a senator. The Empire. History. Achenar Colony was founded. In the mid-23rd century, wealthy entrepreneur
System scan complete.
Marlene Duval was so frustrated with the federal government that she founded an independent colony of her own in the Achenar system, chosen for its remoteness. When Marlene was killed shortly afterwards in a flyer accident, her brother Henson Duval took over as ruler. Henson Duval the Emperor. Duval immediately
Frameshift drive charging.
abolished the fledgling democracy that Marlene had set up, and in its place, he established a system modeled on ancient Rome. He was now emperor, and his closest allies were his senators. Any
4, 3, 2, 1.
colonists who might have objected were forced into silent compliance with Duval's vision. Such were his wealth and power. It was also widely believed that Marlene Duval, like Remus in ancient Rome, had been killed by her own brother. Nobody dared to speak out.
Fuel scooping.
The Mudlark extinction. The colonists were aware that the planet they had settled, Achenar 6D, had indigenous life. But at first, it wasn't appreciated that this included a sentient species. Nicknamed the Mudlarks after they were observed digging through riverbank mud in search of food. Although the Mudlarks were at a pre-agricultural stage of development, they appear to have developed the beginnings of
Fuel scooping complete.
language. They also created crude forms in molded clay, with no obvious practical purpose, possibly
Frameshift drive charging.
indicating a nascent artistic culture. The Mudlarks proved fatally vulnerable to the bacteria carried by the colonists, and within a few decades of the colony's founding, the species was extinct.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Rumors subsequently emerged that Henson Duval had purposefully removed all traces of the Mudlarks, partly in fear of federal reprisal, and partly to ensure that his development plans would not be hindered by
Warning. Temperature critical.
ecological constraints.
Fuel scooping.
The Federation attempted to reclaim Achenar. When the federal government heard rumors that Duval's colony had
Fuel scooping complete.
recklessly caused the destruction of a sentient indigenous species, they decided on
Frameshift drive charging.
military intervention. The Imperial ships beat back the Federal attackers, who were unable to establish a beachhead among the airless outer worlds, and struggled to maintain supply lines so far.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Earth. The Federal forces eventually fell back and entrenched in the Beta Hydri system. Skirmishes with Imperial ships continued for the next 50 years, but these were unable to prevent Duval from expanding the Empire to many other worlds.
System scan complete.
The Age of Expansion. After hostilities with the Federation ceased, the Empire entered a century of growth, annexing many new systems and persuading others to join. It spent the following 2 centuries consolidating its new territory, appointing colonial administrators from among the noble houses of Achenar. The Empire. Society. An ancient Roman model. The Empire
Frameshift drive charging.
works on a clean system. Society is divided into tiers: Emperor, senators, patrons, clients, and then citizens, with slaves below these.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Groups of patrons pledge their support to a given senator, offering military service, tax revenue, and the right to wield the patron's votes in the Senate on their behalf. Measure of protection and material security, as well as having their interests represented.